And then we'll just wait a couple minutes. But how's the family doing? Everyone staying healthy and everything?
Yeah, everybody's doing really good, actually. My kids are all at home. It's different, but it's fun. It's having a great time.
Yeah, I know. It's probably I mean, my friends who have kids are like, it's just a transition of.
It's fun. It's having a great time.
How old are your kids again?
My kids are, my oldest is 13, and
Wow.
then I have a 6-year-old, 4-year-old, and
Wow.
then I have a 6-year-old, 4-year-old, and then I have a 6-year-old, 4-year-old.
Oh.
You hear the feedback? 4-year-old. You hear the feedback? 4-year-old. You hear the feedback? 4-year-old. You hear the feedback? 4-year-old.
I'm gonna turn mine to.
What happened?
Oh, okay. I put mine on my headphones. All right, and I hear me echoing.
You can hear you echoing?
Yeah.
Is it okay? I can't hear anything anymore. I mean, I can't hear any echo.
Yeah, it's echoing like right back and forth.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi, Lee. Hey, JY. It's so clear, though. It's so interesting. Okay, hold on. I'm going to mute you for a minute to see if it's me.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Am I echoing now? I am echoing now.
Hello? Can you hear me? Hello, hello, hello? Am I echoing? I think you're muted.
Yeah, it's still echoing a little bit. Guys, tell me if you can hear us. Hold on one second. It's so weird. Oh, okay. JY says it's fine. Lee says it's fine. Okay, cool. All right. If you're good, I'm fine.
All right.
So today I'm super excited. I have Brett on here. He is the owner of Simple Wholesaling in Indy, and we've been working with you guys since like the beginning, right?
Yeah, it's been maybe 3 years. How long have you guys been in business? Yeah, 3-4 years.
Yeah, it's going on 3 years.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So I just brought Brett on here to kind of like tell us your story, how you started, because I think it's super interesting because now you guys have grown to a team of how many now? Like 10?
We have quite a few. So we have 7 local in Indianapolis, and then we have 8 virtual assistants. So actually 15.
Wow.
So yeah.
Oh my gosh. I love your team too because the energy is just so good. And like I don't know. I just love coming to your meetups. And you guys have been doing them virtually, right?
We have been, yeah. It's not as fun virtually. We missed everybody. We've had to do the last 2 virtually over Zoom, but we'll get there. Maybe June or May. I doubt May, but maybe June. We'll get there again.
We'll see, right? It's like I've been invited to so many things now where it's like the social distancing and the masks and
I know.
We'll slowly get going.
I actually have never worn a mask yet, but everybody's looking at me weird when I go to Menards, so I'm like that guy.
Oh man, Brett. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. So yeah, go ahead if you could just tell us a little bit about when you started, and how you kind of got to where you are now.
Yeah, definitely. So it's been a long ride. I started in 2007, so it's been 13 years, and that's when the market was just crashed and pretty much tanked. I didn't know any better. I was pretty young and just really wanted to get into real estate. Read some books, Rich Dad Poor Dad, and Millionaire Next Door, and just wanted to be an entrepreneur. Honestly, that's all I kind of wanted to be. So I just kind of went in, didn't really know what I was doing. But I started looking online and I found a house, a real cheap house for $9,000. It was in Ohio, Youngstown, Ohio. And I ended up buying that house like sight unseen. I had about $5,000. Dad had $5,000 and he wanted to retire. So he bought this house for $9,000 and then drove one way. I lived in Indiana, like 6 hours, looked at this house and wasn't anything special, like $9,000, $9,000. So cleaned it out and then I sold it for $15,000. And that's when we made $6,000 on that first house. And I was like, wow, like I have no idea what we just did. It was really cool. let's do it some more. So, and that's what we did. So I don't know if it was like a right place, right time, but back then the houses were cheap. You could buy houses for $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 all day. So we started buying in Ohio and Indianapolis. And I remember I got one of those Garmin GPSs. I just put in like 30 addresses and I just drive around. I'd be looking in all the windows and just making all these offers. And that's just what we did. So we would make 100 offers, 200 offers, then we would get just a few. But and then in 2008, I think we did 150 deals. And that's when I was like, man, like I have no idea again what we were doing, but it's just kind of easy. We just buy and sell houses. And I really just related a lot. I did a lot of the similar things in my early days. I used to buy and sell candy. And when I was in middle school, I would buy and sell DVDs when DVDs were in style. Yeah, you can do that. Just anything. So I pretty much did the same thing except with houses. It was just, and they had more zeros at the end, instead of buying a DVD for $3 and selling it for 10, you buy a house for 20,000 and sell it for 30. Like it was just this very similar concept, just a lot more zeros. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
And then you and your dad started this, and then how did you bring on, like, who was next to be brought on? Was Brian?
No. So me and Dad, so he retired from teaching. He was a teacher. So I didn't grow up entrepreneurial background at all. My parents were both teachers, actually. My dad was a high school basketball coach. And, I remember him saying one time, like, he didn't remember ever having like more than $5,000 in his bank account, like always lived paycheck to paycheck, 30 years, never had more than $5,000. And I didn't want to live like that. So he retired and he joined me. Actually, we were kind of a duo and we just did stuff together. We did that for about 6 years. And then he, wanted to retire a little bit more. And I kind of wanted to build a business. And that's when I hired my first person. If you hear my son in the background, I apologize. I have to pause it. I got the kids at home. Hold on.
You're fine. It's all a part of life now.
I know. Hey, I'm on a live call.
Hey, Derek. Hey, Tay. Hey, John. Hi, Lee. Hey, JY. Hey guys, I know that I said today I was going to approve mail. I'm going to actually do it tomorrow. So I'm giving you an extra day to set up your campaigns and your templates. I don't know if you saw on my Instagram, but I set those up. So tomorrow.
Hey, I apologize.
Oh, you're totally fine. I even have someone who says, I know how it goes, Brett.
The kids at home, it is like pure chaos. I have 4 kids and this is the weirdest thing right now, I tell you. It's just like,
I have to ask you, how is e-learning going, like, for their schools? Is it like...
It's not. So I have a kindergartner, Ethan, and he has some special challenges through school. So it's hard. It's my wife, she's carrying the baby and juggling, and he's doing e-learning, and it's just complete chaos right now.
It's a lot. It's just a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a question here from Mr. Locoroco. New to wholesaling, thanks for going live and talking about your experiences. All these chats help motivate people like myself. Let's start making that money. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So how many, you said you did, how many deals in 2008?
So we did 158 in 2008.
Okay.
And we've been consistently doing, for the first 6-7 years, we were doing about 100 deals a year, something like that. But then I built the team. So I hired my first person about 5 or 6 years ago. And then now we have 15 total. That includes virtual assistants. So I'm a big component of virtual assistants too. I hired my first virtual assistant about 3 years ago. So we have 7 people in our market and then 8 virtual assistants right now. And then last year we did 303 deals last year.
And then what was your goal? What's your goal this year?
So our goal this year is 350. And we were really on track for that. I don't know anymore. We kind of had to throw all the numbers to the side and rethink, at least for this second quarter, what we're doing, because I've never seen anything like this. And but we're still doing fine and we're still surviving and it's still fine. We let this in April. So the first quarter we did about 90 deals, and then in April we did, I think, 17 deals. So we're a little bit off for April, but we're still doing deals and we're still getting there.
Well, and what I love about you guys is that you help. I mean, I know that whenever I've talked to Ronnie when I've had calls and stuff like that. And so you help wholesalers starting out in the business and everything. So can you kind of talk on that? Like why you guys are so like community based, or I feel like sometimes people can like keep everything in and not want to share.
Yeah. I just have that abundant mindset. So a couple of years ago, like I said, my parents are both teachers and my dad was a coach. So I kind of gravitate more towards teaching and coaching. So that's kind of, the meetup started. We started a meetup a couple of years ago to teach other wholesalers in our market to wholesale deals. And at first, we just kind of did it because we thought it would be fun, right? Hey, let's give back. Let's help people. I know what it's like to get started, to not know what I'm doing. I wish that I had someone, in my local community really like digging in. Like it's one thing to listen to a podcast from someone in Phoenix, Arizona, talking about Phoenix, Arizona wholesaling, but it's another thing like to do it in our market. So we wanted to do something locally in our market. To really get back to the community. And so we started doing that. And it's helped us too, obviously, because we get a lot of people that send us deals or want to partner on deals. So it helps us that way too. So it kind of itches or scratches the itch of teaching and coaching, but it also helps with our deals as well. So yeah.
I just love it because you guys help teach us. Like I learned so much from Ronnie just by him helping me, and I had no problem like giving you guys the deal to like, anything. It was just so nice to be able to learn so much about what do I need to do, because I felt like a fish out of water.
Everybody does when you start something new. Yeah, it's just weird. I mean, I felt like a fish out of water when I started scaling the business. Like it's just totally different to scale a wholesaling business rather than just doing it on your own, doing everything yourself, looking at all the houses, talking to all the people, selling all the deals, to trying to teach other people to do that, right? And to hire people to do that.
Trust them.
And to trust them, yeah. Because your name is the one on the line. So, if one of your team members does something silly, it's like, you're the one getting the call and all that stuff. So yeah.
So what kind of took you to that point where you knew you needed to scale, or that you like wanted? I know it was like a scary thing, but like when did you know you needed to?
Yeah. For me, it kind of happened organically. It wasn't like I came out and I was like, hey, I'm going to scale this big business. Honestly, it happened organically. I hired a friend that needed a job. Like I was like, hey, you need a job. And I didn't like doing some of the things in my business. So I don't like doing this. I need a job. So let's just try this, right? And you do the stuff I don't like to do. And and it kind of happened organically like that. And then one of my friends introduced me to a business coach who does this scaling up. He actually teaches people how to scale a business from the book Scaling Up. And that's when it really exploded, because the biggest things is hiring and firing, actually, like picking the right people, recruiting, actually. So I come from the sports background, and it's hard to coach a team with bad players, right? Like, you could be the best coach in the world, but if you have bad players, like, you're still not going to be very good, right? So it actually comes from recruiting, and vice versa. If you recruit really good players and you're a really bad coach, you can still probably be pretty good, you know?
Yeah.
And that's the nature of it. The players make the coach really look good. So I've just really tried to pick good players. They're not like coming out of the All-Star team right away, but like, I try to pick people that, just do this one thing really well. Like you talked about Ronnie. Ronnie's really charismatic. He's good with people. He's good with talking with people. So he's really good working with sellers, and he's good working with other wholesalers, because he's just likable, right? And I think that's in that role. It's like half the battle's over if people just like you, right? If they like you, then like it's easy to sell them, because they just like you, and people want to sell to people that they like, right? So that's just like one role. You mentioned Brian. He's a teacher. So really he's a good leader. He's a good teacher. He's our COO. So he leads and manages the team. And again, I just kind of step back and let him do his thing. And really his role is teaching and keeping people accountable, just like he had to do in the classroom. It's all very similar to what they were doing. And so picking the right people is half the battle.
And you've picked a really great, I love Brian. Like, if some of you remember, Brian has been on here with me a couple of times. So great. I love how just positive everyone is. And yeah. Ronnie was actually at one of your meetups, and that's how he like came to you about the job, right?
Yeah. And it's hard to think about, because like life goes so fast, and it's good to reflect. I think during this COVID-19 thing, it's been good for me, honestly, to reflect on all of these things. Like, I love helping people and helping their dreams and goals come true, like for my team. And I'll tell you a quick story about Ronnie. So yeah, Ronnie came to, and he had tears in his eyes, and he worked in a calling center for the last couple of years, and for an insurance company, and he just did not like it. And the type of environment, you're doing so many calls, you're talking to insurance, not a passionate type of thing, right? I don't know. Insurance to me, I guess, isn't a passionate field. That's just me. But
yeah.
But he had tears in his eyes, and he just wanted to do something different, and he wanted an opportunity. And so I gave Ron the opportunity, and he's been with us over 2 years now. And one special thing is that Ronnie has never owned a home. He works in the real estate business, and he helped us buy 200 homes last year, and he's never actually owned a home for his family. He's got 6 kids, and Ronnie built a house a couple weeks ago, and they just moved in. And that's just an example of like, man, like I love being a part of that. He made the money, and it wasn't me. It was just I gave him an opportunity to own his first home. He moved his whole kids. Like, he never even told his kids about like they were moving there until they had it all done. And he took his daughters. And it's just a crazy story. And he was telling the story. He took his daughters in there, and his daughter, one of his daughters, I think, is like 13, 14, and he says, "What do you think about this house?" Like, and he was pretending like they were just kind of looking at this house, And he said, "Well, we're moving in next week."
Oh my gosh. I did not know the story behind it when I saw him in the house. Yeah, and I was just, that made me so happy for him, but I did not know he did it like that, because that would have lost it.
Yeah. So that's just a quick story. I love doing that. And Randy, he works with our team too. He built a house for his family, and So I love being a part of that, and then other wholesalers love being a part of their stories too. So that's why I do this now. I mean, I've done a lot of deals. I don't get excited over that deal, but I get excited when someone else gets excited over their first deal, because I remember what that's like, and it's a big thing.
Well, I plan on having y'all be a part of my first deal once I get it. I've been telling all the people in lives, we're kind of going step by step of like starting mail, doing the follow-ups. We've been virtually driving for dollars every day. So I want to do it along with them. So that way we can all kind of go along the process together virtually.
I love it. I love it. You guys have been a huge just help to us, DealMachine, and just your whole team. You guys have been awesome to work with as well, super positive as well. And we've done a lot with you guys. We've been a part of what you guys have been doing. I love the growth and the innovation that you guys have been put forth here lately. We've had people drive. We used to have, we're not doing it currently just because of the situation going on, but we've had drivers drive and use the app for us, and we've used a lot of the DealMachines. I really appreciate all you guys have done.
Well, we appreciate you guys, and I love how y'all have it set up, because you have your main guys on as partners, and then when they're driving, they can just go ahead and start sending their mail that you guys have set up specifically for them. And I think that that's awesome. It's genius.
Yeah.
I've actually used it a lot in other people that are starting, and I'm like, well, you can do this like this other company that I work with, and it just makes it way more organized, and everyone looks, especially because we have a postcard for you guys now. So that way it just looks so clean, and it's very well branded to what you guys are doing. And
yeah, I think it's important, just to give it to the guys in the field. And if you're like one person and you're doing it all on your own, that's great. But just to have the availability to be able to do it when you're looking at other houses, because that's when you see all the houses and the boarded up houses and the tall grass houses and vacant houses and the neighbor house. And if you don't have a good system with all that, it's hard. It's easy not to be organized, right? So, for me, I got papers around my desk, because when I'm talking to people like you, I'm taking notes down and got Post-it notes here. It's just a good place to organize everything. I think that's the main thing.
I know, I keep a book here. I'm like, I always write down things.
So if you can have a good system to help keep you organized, just makes things a lot easier, and it's not that expensive. And we live in a high margin business. So I always tell people, it's like, we're not selling knickknacks. I mean, that's why we do houses and real estate, because there's a lot more zeros at the end. Like one deal could pay for your whole service for 10 years, right? It's crazy.
I will say that's one thing I'm really glad we put the ROI in there, so people can see like how much they've paid with their subscription, but then like how much they've actually gotten from deals and what that profit is.
Yes, definitely. So that's why I love the business. It's high margin, and one deal, one home run can change your life. Like, I mean, literally, my parents are both teachers, like I said. So I come from a background of, used to people making $30,000 a year, which is fine, 25 to 40,000. That's like the top, right? And in order to do that, possibly in one transaction, it's pretty incredible.
My mom's also was a public school teacher, and I was the same way, middle class, like that. When I learned about this coming to DealMachine, I was like, there's no way you can make that much money off of one deal.
Yeah. It's just, I actually come to say it's not fair, honestly. I mean, it isn't. I love teachers, and I love what they do, and public service, any type of anything from police officers, firemen, anything like that. And it's not fair, but this could be just a great supplement to anything, right? So that's just, and so I love doing it, and it changed my life, and I would not be here being able to help anyone. And I can't believe we're still doing it. I can't believe we can still scale a business. 300 deals. I mean, that's just crazy that's like a deal a day. You know?
That's what Brian said. He's like, we're getting to a deal a day. And I was just like, my mind was just blown. I'm like, that's awesome.
Yeah. So it is a lot of work. But yeah, it's just awesome. I love the team. So thank you so much for being a part of what we do too.
Yeah, no. And I love that y'all are in Indy. So that way we can actually, well, some of us are in Indy a lot. And so then we can all get together and, well,
yes,
to and be able to talk and everything. And you guys are very active on your Facebook page, which is it Simple Wholesaling?
Yeah, so Simple Wholesaling is our Facebook page. So you can check that out, simplewholesaling.com. We're actually getting ready to launch a website, which is simplewholesaling.com, where it is going to have a lot more teaching and trainings, things like that. We have a couple of podcasts. My podcast that I do is Real Estate Investing with a Purpose. So if you want to check out that, we're on episode 200 and something. So I've been doing that for 4 years, Real Estate Investing with a Purpose. And then we have a special podcast too, only for Indianapolis. It's called The Indy Investor. And it's only about Indianapolis investing. So you can check all those out on iTunes or Stitcher or whatever your podcast platform, Spotify, any of those. So
definitely check. How old is the Indy Investor one?
It's brand new. We're on episode like 15, and we do 2 a week. So it's only been out for a couple months. Yeah.
So. Okay. I don't feel so bad then. Cause I'm like, how did I not know that y'all are doing this Indianapolis one?
Yeah.
I do want to ask you a couple of questions also to let everyone know. Please feel free to ask questions too, Brett. I know there's some DealMachine questions that I will answer at the end of this, but I want to make the most out of your time that we have with you. But Brian talks about how, we get buyers, but how did you find buyers when you were first starting, like in Youngstown, Ohio?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So as far as your investors, your cash buyers, who are going to buy your properties. Yeah. So a lot of it is just, happened organically too, but we, back in the day, I used to list on Craigslist and some of the other websites that were kind of free to me. Today, you can find cash buyers pretty easily. There's websites, and just like when you buy your lists for sellers, you can buy lists for buyers. So right now, like Brian, he's been going through the MLS, which is called MyBor here in Indianapolis. And he just sorts out who bought cash this month, right? So let's say there's 300 transactions that were bought cash. Well, we write down those properties. We skip trace who bought them. We could use DealMachine for that. Skip trace who bought those properties. And so just like we skip trace for sellers, we see who bought those properties, and we skip trace for buyers. So we go through the MLS, skip trace those. There's a couple other websites. We use this one company called Aldantic that we get our lists from, and they'll send us a list of all the buyers for cash, and we just skip trace them and call them. We use a calling service. We cold call them, or we cold text them, or we look them up. We look them up on LinkedIn. So that's pretty much how we do it.
I like the looking up on LinkedIn. I don't think a lot of people think of LinkedIn.
Yeah, so we use LinkedIn to look them up. A lot of them are companies, so some of them are hard to find. But another one that we use is called opencorporate.com, that you can use that website to plug in the company and their address, and then it'll give you who is the agent for that company, and then you can skip trace that agent. So you can find ways around it if it is a company like an LLC or a corporation. So those are some of the websites that we use. But again, same thing as sellers. We just figure out who bought them and look them up.
I like that. That's the first time I've heard about using the MLS like that, and I think that's really smart. Yeah. Are you guys? So do you have somebody that's a realtor then? Or are you all?
Yeah, we're agents. So Brian's an agent and I'm an agent too. I got my license about 10 years ago just to get access to the MLS so I can run comps and list properties and things like that. So yeah.
Okay, cool. JY wants to know, and I think this would be interesting to hear, what's the best way to start to get his first deal?
Yeah, no, that's great. I mean, I'd probably use, if I guess it depends on your budget, but I would definitely look up DealMachine. I would just start driving for dollars. So, I mean, I target the areas that I want to do business in first. So that's kind of where I would start, is saying, hey, like I like this area, or a lot of investors I feel like are buying houses in this type of area. So I target the area first, and then you can do you can do DealMachine and skip tracing. So I would definitely, what's been working for us is find the areas, find the vacant houses, driving for dollars, and then instead of doing direct mail, we've been more calling them or texting them. That's what we've been doing mostly because it's cheaper. Direct mail is a little bit saturated, so like we have found more success, and plus we're kind of on a budget now because we're really watching everything that we spend. So we target the areas, find the houses that we want to target, and then skip trace, and then text or call is what I would normally do. We start with texting actually mostly.
I was just going to ask that, what your process was between texting and calling. Like, how often, and like, when do you decide to like text, and then do you call like 2 days later?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we usually start out texting, and then we might text them, maybe once a week, kind of starting off, and then but then we also do calling follow-up as well. So I'd say our process is text them first, and then call every 2 days, and then kind of do that process every week or so.
Big thing I hear. What would you say about leaving a voicemail? Yay or nay?
I would say off the cuff, if it's your first time calling them, if it's your very cold, you never talked to the person before, we typically don't leave voicemails. If we have talked to them and it's more of a follow-up call, then in that case we do leave voicemails.
And then I'm really interested in the texting thing. We're, as a company, really interested in that as well. Mm-hmm. Do you guys keep it really short when you first text them? Like, do you just say like, do you own this, or what kind of is your verbiage, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, we use a couple of different templates. They're all very similar, but I've always gone with the approach to be kind of like the neighbor next door. So ours would sound something like this. Hey, Dan, whatever their first name is. Hey, Dan, this is Brett. And I was driving in the neighborhood. I saw this address and didn't know if you wanted to sell that property. And we just kind of reword it like theirs. Like, hey, I saw this property at this address, and I didn't know if you're interested in selling it, Dan. So I just use those same words, but I just kind of rephrase it. So yeah, short, to the point, less than 160 characters, I think is like a good thing to kind of think about. Don't put a big paragraph, but more of like guy next door interested in buying their home. So whatever that looks like.
I just want to say I've been thinking about what I would want to say in my texting, and it's like, do I say I'm an investor, or do I just sound like what you were saying? I think that's more organic sounding.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you can do either, but we sound more organic. We don't really use our company name in our texting. And our goal of the texting is to try to get them on a call, right? Texting is, you can't get the tone. It's real choppy, right? Back and forth. So a lot of times you'll say, hey, Dan, this is Brett, and I saw this house at this address for sale. Would you like to sell it? How much will you give me? So it's just like real choppy. It's like, well, hey, I'd love to give you an offer. Can I get some more details about the house? Can we set up a phone call? What time is available for you? And then so our goal from the texting is to get them get them on a call. But what we found is people don't answer the phone these days. So cold calling, it doesn't work. Like everybody has caller ID, and there's a lot of spam calls out there. So people don't answer their phone, but they're more apt to look and read a text, right? I never listen to my voicemails. So we feel like texting can get your foot in the door a little bit faster.
I was so curious about that because it is becoming more. My child's now barking. But I feel like texting is just becoming. We're all always so connected that it's so much easier to look at that. You're right. I don't answer anything that I don't know who it is.
Yes. Now there's some compliance things that you need to look at on the texting that we've looked at. Is like, so one thing is there needs to be human interaction behind the text, which means you can't send out a mass text to 1,000 people all at one time. So if you do text, you have to send individual texts. And there's some other platforms that we've used as well that is pretty efficient with that. We've used one called Lead Sherpa before and things like that we've used. But there are some compliance things that you need to think about. So
that was another thing with like the mass texting and like ringless voicemails are another thing that you have to like really be careful about.
Yeah.
I usually
tell people on anything because there is human interaction and and getting back to someone quickly, because a lot of times if there's no conversation, then it's hard. But the thing about texting is it's instantaneous, and you can crank it up or crank it down at any time. So an example is if you're doing a lot of direct mail and you do a certain amount of pieces, let's say you're getting bombarded and a bunch of phone calls are coming in, you can't keep up. It's hard to slow it down, right? Because it's already done. It's just in process. But with texting, if let's say you do 500 texts in a day, then let's say you get bombarded with messages. Well, you don't have to do any tomorrow if you don't want to. Or let's say you don't get anything, then you can crank it up. So and it's instantaneous. So like, hey Dan, I'm Brett. Love to look at your house. Sure. Okay, let's get on a call. Okay, yeah, I'll come out and look at it tomorrow. It's like, it's bam, 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 very instantaneous, which I like.
Have you had, I know I kind of talked to Brian a little bit about this, but have you had any issues with like the virtual wholesaling? Like if it's an owner occupied house, like trying to not have your team go in, but trying to get the right information?
Yeah, I mean, it's challenging, obviously, because you have to rely somewhat on the other person, trying to get you pictures. With vacant houses, then that's been pretty easy. So we've been probably lately trying to focus more on vacant houses because those are easy to get into and to look at. But yes, we try to get pictures from the owner, or to do like a FaceTime, a walkthrough, when you're on the call, saying, hey, do you have FaceTime? You might as well have you tour the house while we're on the phone, things like that. Because if you wait, people forget, right? If you say, hey, can you send me some pictures, and then you're following up 3 or 4 times to get those pictures. So if you can try to do something when you're on the phone with them, then that's good. Everybody has cell phones these days, and most people have, the smartphones. So if you can do some sort of FaceTime while you're on the phone with them, that's what we've been trying to do.
I like that better than you're right, like sending pictures, because then they forget. Or while you're on FaceTime, you can be like, can you show me that right there in the corner or something like that? Yeah.
And pictures, people are bad picture takers. They don't know what to do. And they'll send you like 3 pictures and like, oh, here they are. And it's not a good thing. So that's been something that we've been able to do, but it's been challenging. So that's why we've been focused more on the vacant houses right now too.
Jake asked Brett, I'm in Cleveland, Ohio. I'm working on growing my business and building a great team. And then is there any way that we can work together, or any way I can bring value to you from Cleveland?
No, that's, I like Cleveland. I bought a few houses in Cleveland before and a couple of duplexes. It snowed. I was like chomping through the snow. Crazy. Get that effect off the lake stuff. I mean, I would love to help you out any way I can, but probably the better than that, I'm more of a connector. So I know a guy actually out of Cleveland named Joe Lieber, and if you're interested, I can definitely connect you with him. He's a longtime investor in Cleveland, and so that's a better way for me to connect, is if I can connect you to someone locally, and I can definitely make the introduction if you're interested.
What's the best way to connect with you, Brett? Is it any kind of social media or email or anything? What do you?
You can look me up on Facebook. I have a page. Actually, it's more of my, it's really not my personal. It's more of a public figure image, I guess. I don't know.
I saw your coaching post you were talking about what you felt like you were like brought to like kind of talk about more this year and like helping people. And I just have to say it's so beautiful, and like I'm really excited for you.
Oh, thank you. No, I think God's doing a thing in my heart, and I'm just I'm excited to help people. I mean, that's what I really get excited about. I don't get excited about doing a deal anymore. It's more about if I can help someone do a deal, or I can help a guy in the team buy their first house, or things like that, So you can look me up on Facebook, probably is the easiest way, at Brett, Brett, E is an Evan, Snodgrass. So if you basically just search the @ symbol, Brett E Snodgrass, that's my handle on Facebook. So
I'll make sure that it's in the description, guys, on this in YouTube. So you guys, and if you're on Facebook, I'll make sure I put it in there as well. I do have another question personally, because I know what you guys do. You guys clean out the houses and everything, and then you present them to your buyers.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do when somebody doesn't move out by like the time that you need them to? I know, like, you guys are all just so nice, and it's like, I would hate to like push someone, but like, what do you do? How do you handle that situation?
Yeah. No, we try to be nice about it, but when you're in this business long enough, people do kind of burn you a few times, and you have to kind of put some precautions in place. So what we do is we actually hold back escrow money of that seller. So if they're not out of the house by a certain date, or by the closing, even, like if they're going to move out but they need time to move out, which happens a lot, I'd say 1 out of 10 houses, someone needs the money to move, right? And that's just an example. So they need the money from the closing in order to move out of the house. So we actually hold money back from their proceeds in the title company's escrow account until they move. So an example is usually it's maybe 10% of their money. So if we, and it depends on, of course, the price, right? $200,000 house, you're not going to hold back 20 grand. But typically, if it's like a $30,000 house, we'll hold back 3,000 or 4,000 in an escrow account until they move, and then they get all that money back when they move on the day that we chose. So we choose a day they're moving, and it's also a good way to put in there that they need to clean out the property, because a lot of times they don't clean out the property. So we can give them some sort of incentive, then they're more apt to clean out the property, which saves us money from clean outs, right? That's what we do. So yeah.
Okay. I just always wondered.
There's some clause in there that they're going to be charged a certain amount of money each day. Ours is $250. So if they got 10 days to move, but they don't move, it's $250 every day that they miss out on if they don't move, basically.
I just always wonder sometimes when I have walked through some of the houses, I'm like, I don't know how they're going to move out of here in that time, or like, what am I going to do if they don't? So, yeah, thank you for answering that.
It's really an easy conversation, because it's like we're doing them a favor so they can also help us. And we haven't had much pushback. Like if we're going to buy their house and they say, hey, I need 10 days to move. And I was like, okay, yeah, we have a great program for that. We hold back $3,000 for 10 days, and you'll get that back when you move. If you don't, it's $250 a day, and we expect the property to be cleaned out. And you're like, oh, thank you so much. Yes, that sounds great. Like we hardly ever.
I love that you call it a program. Like it's already structured for them, so that makes them feel like you have more. You're more credible to them too, and they feel a little bit more at ease.
Yeah, definitely.
So we have time for one more question. And Al, he's a longtime listener. And so how has your buying criteria changed during COVID-19 era?
Yeah, so Indianapolis, Indiana, I'm not sure exactly what market you're from, but it's definitely gotten more conservative, and we're watching our buyers and again, seeing what our buyers are still buying. And ours has gone more from we're not doing a lot of properties that would be considered flips. So like if a property would be a good flip property, I'm seeing the flip opportunities slow down. People are kind of scared to buy a house to flip because they don't know what's going to happen in the next 3 to 6 months. But cash flow properties, so we live in a good cash flow market, and like rentals, I'm still seeing people buy those all the time. So we're focused more on like kind of staying away from the flips unless it's like a great deal. Like we'll still do the deal, but it needs, like, we're decreasing our price by depends on the area, but sometimes it's 20-25% on some of those. The cash flow areas, we're still very business as usual on those. Retail, like we do some retail stuff too, where it's higher priced, and we're kind of staying away from those too. So we'd be kind of like dealing mostly in the cash flow market right now.
I will say Brian said a really great thing. When this all started, he did the interview with me, and he said that you guys contact your buyers and say, like, what are you buying? And I didn't hear that from anybody else. And I think that shows how much you guys have a great relationship with your buyers.
Yeah, I just think it's important. I would just highly recommend that. What I think is going to happen, I have no crystal ball, but what I think is going to happen is the market, it's going to change forever. Like in the next year, like there's a huge opportunity. If you can survive the next few months, there's going to be a huge opportunity from 3 months to 3 years of that window. Huge opportunity, and this huge transfer of wealth, right? So a lot of people are going to suffer, which really stinks, and they're going to lose a lot of their assets and their houses if they weren't prepared. But a lot of people, that's going to transfer to people that bring a lot of great opportunities. So so I think it's going to be a great opportunity for real estate investors the next 3 years to 3 months to 3 years. So if you guys can capitalize on that, that's going to be great for you. And people kind of relay it to 2008 again, and we did really well during that time. So I think it's going to be a little bit different because everyone's in the same boat right now. But here's where I was going with this. I lost my total train of thought. But it's basically from a seller's market. So it used to be really competitive. Everyone's, motivated sellers. It's really hard to get a deal, but it's selling your deal. It's really easy, right? But it's actually transitioning now. Now it's going to be easy to get a deal, but hard to sell the deal.
Right.
So what makes you different from the other people out there is it's all about the personal touch. And cash buyers, again, like if they like you, they want to work with you. And so you have to have that personal touch. So be different. Nobody else does that, and if you can have that personal touch with it, I think it's going to go a long way.
I love that. And that I have been trying to do that more. I mean, obviously I have a great relationship with you guys. I love all of your team and everything. So I will be going to you guys first when I get that call or that text message.
That's awesome. We love it. We love to work with you. Definitely.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. I know I've taken up a lot of your time, but I really appreciate you being on here, Brett. Seriously.
No, thank you guys so much. And yeah, if there's anything that we can do, or if you're listening, feel free to reach out to me and check me out on Facebook. And I love to help. I mean, that's just where my heart comes alive, if I can just help someone and bring hope to someone. So
awesome. Thank you guys so much. I'll see you all tomorrow. And Brett, we will talk soon.
All right. See you guys.
Bye.